I don't like waiting too long for people. So whoever trickles in, hopefully. Hold on, let me see. Can I make you a co-host, Bria? If you see
Yeah.
somebody trickle in. Okay, cool. You should be able to have access. All right, let's get to it though.
How do I know someone's in the waiting room?
You'll get a notification.
I'll just okay.
Yeah, I'll get it too. So
Okay.
if I'm in the middle of things, I'll let you know if
Okay.
okay, got you. All right, can y'all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Whew. You got your notepad out or something?
Do I need to take notes?
Did I need to take note? I made something you. Nah, you looking down, so it looked like you was writing something.
No. Mm-mm. I
Okay,
can take
okay.
notes.
hmm Oh yeah, so now this is one of my favorite myths that we're going to talk about today. So this is the three myths of productivity part of the productivity playbook. Last week we talked about the time myth. Now this week we're talking about the this week we're talking about the motivation myth. Now, a lot of us might be always telling ourselves that I'm not motivated. I don't feel like doing something, or like it's just one of those things that always get in the way when we say we're not motivated. But let's unpack that for a little bit. Let's unpack where that myth and where this comes from, right? So, in order to do an action, in order to have a goal, where does it start? It starts with a thought. So let's use the example that you want to work out, right? And in order to work out, you start with I should work out. That's the first thing that comes to your mind. So then, and essentially, the action of doing that thought is working out. But 9 out of 10 times, this it just doesn't work like that. It really doesn't work like that because there's something's missing that gets us from the thought to the actual action. What is that? What do you think that is, Brielle? I'll call on you. What do you think is missing between the thoughts and the action?
Um, the motivation.
There we go. Motivation. Right. So between a thought and an action, you gotta be motivated to do it, right? Like that's the simple motivation equation. But my thing is, what is motivation, Bria? I'm gonna pick on you today. I'm gonna pick on you today because I see you taking notes. I see you doing your thing over there. So I'm gonna pick on you. And I want to make this one a little bit interactive. What is motivation at the end of the day? So I want you all to think about this for a second and think about what is motivation? I mean, we all say it like I am motivated, I'm motivated. Like, where does that come from? Like, if you were to define what motivation actually is, what does that mean? So let's think about it. What do you think motivation is, Bria?
Um, like the willpower.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I mean, motivation can be a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just like a thought. Like, what is motivation to you?
Just the willpower to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
It could be family,
Mm-hmm.
it could be just yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It could be different things.
Got you. And in the instinct of actually going from a thought to an action, let's take that for example, like going from a thought to an actual action. Like we said, you had a thought to work out, but the action was to actually work out. When we think about that, what does motivation mean then? No pressure.
Like
Hey,
success.
what'd you say?
Success.
You're on the right track. You're on the right track. We're going like I was saying, Natalie, we're gonna be a little bit interactive today. So we're gonna I want to make this as like concise as possible. My question was, what is motivation? And this is one of those things is like I thought this was the obvious answer, but when you really think about it, it's just like what is motivation when it comes to you have a thought, for example, you want to go work out and the action is actually working out. Motivation is in the middle. So what does motivation specifically mean to you? There's no right or wrong answer either. It's just
I guess motivation would be like finding your end goal or the thing that you um, are trying to achieve and using
Mhm.
that to push you to do what you want to do or what
Yeah,
you're trying to do.
right. So would y'all consider motivation something that you feel?
Yes, I think motivation is something that you feel
Yeah. So I mean,
because
like when you
you have to feel motivated to do it. You have to
exactly,
want to do
exactly,
it. Yeah.
exactly. That's what I'm trying to get to. It's something that we feel. So that leads me to we have the thought to work out, or so I should work out right now. The action is working out, but motivation is I feel like working out right now. So when we take that word feel, right? We go to what is a feeling? I'm not gonna call out on y'all for this one, but like, what is a feeling? This is one I want you to think about. Like, what essentially is a feeling? So as I was making these slides, I'm thinking like, what is a feeling? Matter of fact, I'm just gonna Google it. I'm gonna Google it so we get the answer. A feeling is an emotional state or reaction. Number two is a belief, especially a vague or irrational one, or showing emotion or sensitivity. So would y'all say if emotion is a feeling and and a feeling is an emotional state or something, it's a belief or being irrational, how can we use that as something that drives us for action? Because if we rely on motivation to do something, we're gonna go into this procrastinatory loop because it's a feeling. A feeling is come and go. If I'm mad today and that or sad, that might deter me from feeling motivated to do anything. So we'll start with I'll do it later. Then it turns into, damn, I'm being unproductive today. So then you're like, maybe I should think about starting this task. But then you're like, damn, I'm in the wrong mood to do it well. So I'll just do it later. So we're in this constant cycle this is where procrastination comes from. So the main reason that we break down motivation being a myth because this is usually how we think about getting things done or motivation in general. We have a thought, we want to do something. If we feel like doing it, then we do it. But what happens when we don't feel like doing it? Right? That's why this is a myth. Now, we broke down why motivation is a myth. We broke down why motivation is a feeling. But the thing that actually gets you from point A to point B, from thoughts to action, because motivation is fleeting, is actually discipline. Now I know I'm not about to be up here and oh yeah, it's just discipline. It's easier said than done. But I just want to really highlight that motivation here, when we say I'm not motivated to do something, we're really we're talking in a way that's not aligned with where we want to go. But when we have discipline, that's discipline is doing the things that you don't want to do, but you do it anyway. So when we think about discipline though, what word do you see inside discipline? So if we look at the word discipline, anybody see any word?
Line.
Okay, yeah, that is in there. You see anything else? If you were to put what is it, Scrabble? What
Oh,
word?
okay. Like it doesn't mean any order.
It could be any order.
Mm.
It's the word disciple. Now, I'm gonna let that sit because when we think of disciple, what do we think of automatically? The 12 disciples, right? But a disciple, when we actually define it, follows a path with commitment and consistency even when it gets hard. Now, when we think of like Jesus' 12 disciples, they followed him everywhere, daily, learned, they're practicing, and they embodied his teachings. But that's just like we need to do our habits. Because if we don't become disciples of ourselves first, how can we become a disciple of anyone else? Or better yet, if we don't lead ourselves, because Jesus, he led the disciples, how can we lead anything else? How could you be the best that you can for your family? But this is where that discipline factor comes in. Because discipline isn't about perfection, it's about devotion to the process. And it's that simple. And this can get super deep. Like, really, when you really think about the word disciple and you really think about discipline and how they go hand in hand, like, I'm not about to, go all deep into this, but this can really get on a spiritual level. But real quick, I'm just going to just jot down action steps because how do you cultivate discipline? It's just about just choosing one habit and just taking your time and starting slow because it's not about being perfect. It's about just making progress. So if you see one habit that might help you in life, you just choose it and choose a small one that's impossible to fail. Then after that, we just commit to showing up daily, no matter how small. Because what we say, faith, we know to have faith. Like if we ask God, like, yo, if we ask God for blessings, if we pray for things, but we actually don't do the work, he's not. Nothing's gonna come from that. Faith without work is dead, and that's the same with discipline. So we have to choose a habit, show up daily, track it, and watch it grow. Then after that, we reflect, like who or what are you truly a disciple of? And when I say that, like, what are you a disciple of? Your goals? Are you a disciple of bad habits? So if we do these steps, we consistently show up for ourselves. We track our we track it, in which this is what we do. I'm gonna talk about the our community that we have and everything that helps you build these habits, discipline, and track it and reflect. But these are the things, the kind of type of conversations that we want to have. At the end of the day, we're making a new motivation equation. So those were cool. That's how you get the. That's how discipline works. But it still doesn't answer. Like, all right, I still want to feel motivated. So let's talk about like actual hacks to like get around trying to feel motivated. How can we make making being motivated feel easier? Obviously, we're going to continue to build the discipline. We're going to continue to, work on these habits daily. But what are the action steps that we can take? Number one is we can make it more pleasurable. Say, for instance, you don't want to go to the gym, it's too far, or it's cold outside. What do you like to do? Maybe you like to dance, maybe you like yoga, maybe you like Pilates, maybe you like doing things that where it doesn't seem like too much of an ask. Now we're like hacking the whole system because now by doing things that make us feel pleasurable, now we're hacking our whole dopamine system and now we feel like doing the work. Another thing you can do is make an inaction more painful. I'm gonna give an example and it's gonna make y'all feel super uncomfortable. But I want y'all to really think about this. Here's an example to make your inaction more painful. Let's say, for instance, and I'm gonna use this working now and getting in shape as the main example here. But let's say, for instance, you wanted to maybe lose like 10 pounds in the next 60 days. If you put money on the line, say for instance, you went into your savings, say you had $10,000 in your savings and you put $4,000 to the side and you gave it to your sister, your bestie, your friend, or you wrote a check to her saying, if I don't reach this goal, you cash it and keep it. I'm sure y'all just got real uncomfortable. Like, nah, I ain't about to do that. What you mean? But imagine you made yourself that uncomfortable to where it was painful. Do you think y'all would we gonna show up every day? There's no I'm gonna get that money back. I'm gonna get that money back regardless. So I'm saying that to say there's a way to actually hack these things to make that inaction more painful. There's also a website out there. It's called Beeminder, right? It's like exactly what I said, but it's literally built for you setting your goal, you actually putting up money, and it has a system where like you have to return and track it and make sure you're along the way, but it holds you accountable. And if you don't, it will they either donate the money to charity, or you can set it to where they donate it to a cause that you don't believe in. So these are things that you can use to your advantage. So when it comes to the actual outcome, another way is just shorten the feedback loop. Like we we make New Year's resolutions at the beginning of the year, and it's a thing of like we set annual goals, but what happens? What if we chunk that down and set goals every 3 months, every 12 weeks. And then what happens if we set weekly goals leading up to your 12-week goal? This is shortening the feedback loop. So now we understand it's shorter, it's more attainable. Now we have a recent deadline. When we put deadlines for ourselves, it makes us want to actually act out. Like if you're in school, you have a deadline, you have a test coming up. When that test is coming up, you're going to study harder a day, two, three before. Another way to make the outcome is making the outcome more clear. This is just straightforward. Let's take that example of wanting to lose those 10 pounds. If I'm wanting to lose 10 pounds, I'm probably on YouTube and looking at other people's transformation journeys. I'm on Instagram, TikTok. These are the things that actually move us and make us feel more clear. So I want us to do a little reflection exercise. I'll do this at the end of each call. And y'all can choose one of these questions to answer. And I'm gonna talk about this too and on my journey. But I want you to think about, what are you truly a disciple of? Your goals, distractions, comfort, your growth. What's a goal I want to achieve, and how can I make the process more pleasurable? And can I increase my odds of hitting a goal by putting money on the line? So I want to take a few seconds, like, 30 seconds to a minute, just for us to think about these things. And whoever wants to talk about how they feel. And just, this is the point of doing these weekly resets. And I'm gonna get to the actual to the weekly reset part. But I really want to talk about this reflection. So let's take like 30 seconds to a minute. Think about what question like resonates with you, and let's talk about it. All right, when anybody's ready, not all at once though. You know, I see y'all mad eager. Listen, I have some fun.
So I want to work on my album. Um, and typically, I think when it comes to making music, I like
Mhm.
to collaborate with other people. Um, but more recently, I feel like it would be important for me to really try to do it on my own.
Mhm.
But I have not figured out how to make that process pleasurable for myself. Something about bringing myself to do it, for
Mhm.
whatever reason. I've created songs on my own plenty times in the past, but for some reason, I have some resistance to it. I
Mhm.
have the time to do it, and I feel, some of my ideas starting to formulate of what I want to say, and um, share, like recording some of my melodies and stuff like that. But I think I need to figure out how to like make it pleasurable for myself to like do some kind of work towards it every day.
Mhm. Is it the actual physical writing of the music, or is it like the explain to me your creative process? You write music, or is it just like starting with the writing?
So I usually start with tracks. Like I'll have tracks and then I'll come up with melodies and then come up with words, put the words to the melodies. Like that's usually how my songs have come about in the past.
Got you.
Um, I think I do prefer to collaborate with other people, and I have plenty of people to collaborate with. But
Mm,
I don't know what it is that's keeping me from really working at it. But
I see.
but I I think I should.
Got you. From what I understand, I mean, I know with creatives in general, you need a certain level of inspiration to work on your craft. Um,
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, I think that you hit the nail on the head when you talked about feelings and motivation
Hmm.
because um, I tend to operate according to my feelings a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and but I've been doing pretty well, I think, with like making sure that I'm exercising and making sure that I'm eating right and doing all the other things that I know
Hmm.
that I need to be motivated to do. But it's
Hmm.
just this one thing that I think um, maybe when I get off the call today, I can push myself to give it a
Hmm.
try. But it's the oddest, it's such an odd thing. I don't know what it's stemming from, but there's like a little bit of resistance there.
Got you. So when you tell yourself that I'm going to start my creative process, is it like a thing where never mind, or is it like of is there something that draws you back, something that makes you not want to actually press the button, or do you press the button and you just stop?
I don't bring myself to press the button. I've opened the app a couple of times, like I've opened Logic to like get it started, but that's about it. Like I haven't like selected a track and put it in there and you know gotten started. And I mean when it comes to inspiration, like my husband, he's a producer and he's working on
Hmm.
music all day every day and I've watched him like check off his entire bucket list over
Yeah.
the past couple of years. So I think that like I see what works like in terms of
Hmm.
like working at it um, and getting clear on what your goals are and like what you are trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess I like right before our call, I opened up a collage app to try to like put some items in there that I want, like a Mercedes and a house for my
Yeah.
parents, and
Uh-huh.
just try to like add stuff to the vision board to give myself more um incentive to like work at the things that I want.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes. I see.
but I
And so
have
I
everything that I need. So,
got you. I think that just take some continue to take time to reflect on what that looks like since you said it's the motivate the feeling of feeling like doing it. Now after today, continue to just reflect on what is that internal thing that's actually holding me back, that's stopping me from pushing that button.
hmm.
You know? So thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks
Absolutely.
for listening.
Absolutely.
Um, I can kind of feel like I relate to you as well. Because I'm an artist. I do painting, murals, things like that. And I'm in that space a lot. And I thought before it was just like, okay, I enjoy doing this on my like on my free time and I really love doing this. But then it's just like to be an artist nowadays, it's like feeling like you have to post and get your work out there. And I realized I just didn't like doing that part.
Hmm.
So I found myself not doing it as much. And then now when I do it, and this is like even when I don't if I know I'm not posting it anyway, it's just like I still don't find the motivation to want to do it. So I think sometimes though, like just recognizing that space, that period of time where you're not doing it is like is so important because it allows you to think like, okay, this is maybe what I'm missing. And then it'll allow me to, because if I take a long time away from doing art, some artwork, it might be a year. Like I've taken a year off of just creating anything, drawing anything. And then I'm just like, okay, this year I want to get back into it. But what I'm gonna do? What am I gonna do? But if I put that pressure on myself, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this, I'm gonna still be in the same spot instead of just acting on that feeling where I'm just like, you know what, I'm doing it today. I'm doing it right now. And then that's when I end up doing my best work. But I
Mm,
definitely can relate of being in that space was just like, what is it? Like, do I really like this? Is this really what I want to do? Or
mm,
it's like I do think like I'm 90% in, but what is it that is holding me back from going all the way or putting my artwork in museums or getting it to a certain level? Um, so yeah.
I
I don't
see.
know
Thank
what
you.
category that will fall under.
This is amazing. I think um there's a lot of similarities there. And from my own from what I'm hearing is this sounds like what you just mentioned, like you think about like the outcome or the end result prior to just starting, and that might hinder you from starting. Or like tell me if I'm wrong. When y'all are actually creating, and as creatives, like y'all in your zone. That's when y'all in the zone. But the thing that may hinder is the actual what happens after this. Like you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the feeling. That's the feeling of thinking what's gonna happen with this work. I gotta get this out to these people, but you guys are may be forgetting. And tell me if I'm wrong. I'm just, you know, speculating at this point. But what happens if you just press the button and enjoy the moment and do it for you and pour into yourself without thinking about what's gonna come with it, without having to say I have to post this, without having to have pressure of like, oh man, I gotta get these out to different writers, producers. If if this is what you love to do, or if you're thinking of trying to figure out if this is what you want to do or love to do, then the only way to know that is by actually taking the action and doing it. And if you're doing it and you're like, I'm not really feeling this, or this is not really, then you'll get your answer.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that you won't get an answer if you don't do it for you first. You know what I'm saying? Thank you guys for sharing. I think those were some super good insight. So moving forward, what do you what can y'all take from this though? What can we do if we're talking about our art, if we're talking about the different things that we're doing every day? What's going to be the difference like leaving this call?
Well, I think it was really good to like to state that it's that you're doing it for you because it is easy to focus on everything beyond that and like having, like she said, having to do the content and post the content and marketing and getting everybody to see it and doing, all those things.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes when you start to think about all of that, it starts to feel like, ugh, what's the point? But
Yeah.
I think I know for me, I've skipped that part of like doing it for me and like doing it from me for so long that I've done different styles of music that weren't necessarily the style that I wanted to do. I've
Hmm.
done, songs that are like, I mean, it's all good. It's all great music. Everybody that I've worked with has been amazing, but I don't always feel 100% connected to it, which can affect my interest in marketing it and sharing it and putting it out and performing. So I think this work that I'm trying to fight against, it's important that I do it. And I think that if I do it with the motivation of like just doing it for me and knowing that it's important for me to do this for me, like I need to
Mhm.
like to put my money on the line for myself. You know,
Yeah. Uh,
like I think I think that's something that I could try.
okay. So when are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do?
So when are you gonna start?
Oh, when?
Yeah.
When? So when we get off this call, I'll stay on my computer and I'll start something and see where I go.
Okay. Okay. Good. Um, there's something that's called the 2 minute rule, and this is what I talk with some of my clients about when we kind of get in a rut or like something that prevents us from getting started. We set a timer for 2 minutes, or it can be 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and just say, "Yo, I'm just gonna work on this for this amount of time." And 9 times out of 10, if you do that, I don't know if you know about the law of inertia. Once something starts go, once something gets going, it's gonna continue to go. So just by taking that action, setting that timer, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, at least you started something. And if you feeling it, you're gonna keep going. This is what we do a lot with like deep work when you're like, people do this when they're studying, when they don't feel like doing it. You know what? Let me just at least do something so I can feel better. And then eventually it's a cycle. So, Natalie, I hope hopefully we see you next week and you give us updates with, listen, I created a whole album last week. I didn't even know where it came from, but like I think it's just a thing of like since you just spoke that out loud, you told us sometimes you might need a little bit of accountability, but if you set a alarm or you put it in your calendar, schedule it, do it. So make sure it's like a non-negotiable. I at least want to work on this. My something I'm gonna create. You treat it like you treating eating healthy, like you said, or working out. It's another form of self-care. Yeah, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Anything else? Anybody else want to say anything? Anything else before I move forward? Okay. So the whole point of the this call is to talk about resetting weekly. And when I say weekly reset, it's because part of achieving our goals or just doing what we want to do for us is reflecting every week on our progress. So, Natalie, I'm gonna use you for example. If you said that this week I'm going to create for 2 hours, and I could span throughout the whole week. It'd be 20 minutes here, 30 minutes. I'm just giving an example. And we came back, we got through our weekly reset journal, which I'm about to pull up, was gonna help you reflect. If you came back next Sunday, you did your journal and you reflected on if you actually did what you said you would do, or where did you fall off? What happened? Where did you get in your head? Did your feelings get in the way? So I'm gonna share this with you guys. I'm gonna put it in the chat, and I do this every week. Let me find the actual. I have one on Google Docs that I have to find. This is a website called Notion, and if you want me to send you the Google Docs one, I can do that. Just let me know. But I love the way this is set up. All you have to do when you do go here, you just press this to duplicate it, and you create. It's gonna prompt you to log in or whatever. But you're gonna have this template that you can export, or even if you don't want to use this, you can just use the idea of it, like, right? And obviously here it says, what are our 12-week goals? I use this a lot with some of my clients where we set 12-week goals at a time, because like I said, those long-term goals, a lot of times it's such a distant that we don't follow them. So, this weekly reset is one of those things that you go through, that you remind yourself what your priorities are this week. Wh- What was your what are your goals for the next 12 weeks? What are your priorities this week? And then we reflect on, were they good? What were the great things that happened? What were some of the challenges? So I'm going to use an example again. So it's like creating music, that creating process, my priority was to do this. I need to make my melodies. I need to do this. I need to, figure out what instrumental or sound I want to use. If those were this week's priorities, then we'll go back to like, what's stopping you from executing this when we reflect. And then the goal after that is to plan. We look at the next few weeks ahead, and then we schedule them out. We schedule what we need to do in order to move towards our 12-week goal. And then we figure out what are our top outcomes for the upcoming week. So these are just things that will help with planning and actual give you a system or process to execute on a daily basis. So if you find that useful, by all means, I'm just gonna give that to y'all so that y'all can use into whatever capacity you want.
I think I may need the Google Doc. I'm having trouble opening this link.
Got you. Let me do that now. Let me do that now. Let me give you that now. Give me 1 second.
Or could I go to Notion and look up weekly research journal, or is it something you made?
I've made this personally. It's not letting
Oh,
you.
okay.
It's not letting
Is it?
you. Like when you click on the link, what do you see?
It's not letting me. It's just not opening.
Really? Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna try this.
I was trying to copy and paste it into my.
Okay, cool.
Got it.
So
Got it. Thank
yeah,
you.
perfect. No problem. All right, so we are here. All right, so that leads me to I'm doing next Sunday, actually. I am doing a 12-week execution workshop. It's totally free. It's going to be the same time as that we do this reset, but this one's going to be specifically showing you, and it's really like how to achieve more in 12 weeks than most do in a year. So we're gonna break down this framework that I've defined, called the Life GPS framework. Um, it's essentially going through the vision, the goal, the plan, and the system that is going to take you from step one to step three, right? We want to figure out what our 12-week goals are. We're not, like I said, we're not doing these annual goals. So if we had to figure out what our vision is before we even figure out what the goals are. And that's why a lot of people get it wrong. It's just like, I want to do all this, I want to do all this, but does that really align with what you want for yourself? So a lot of people might come up with these goals, even with or without a vision, but it's about the execution part that a lot of people lack. And that's why I'm gonna break it down in it's gonna be like a 90-minute webinar where I'm gonna go into super detail on what this looks like. So I hope you guys can join. It's gonna be it's gonna be really good. Like I said, I like to make sure that I give as much value as possible. I really just truly want to help. And if you want to, actually, let me put the link for that here too. So it's let me put the link here. All you have to do is register, and you'll see your seat will be reserved. And the last thing that we do is the actual joining our community. Right now, it's called the Monk Mode Challenge. This is what the community I was talking about, where we lock in on our habits and we follow a set of rules or partial set of rules that lead into our development and help us become that better version of ourselves. And it's a community of all of us. We all post, our updates and where we are. I supply a habit tracker and different things to just it's for accountability. It's a 30-day challenge. So there's exercising, journaling, reading, meditating, praying, a diet of your choice, non-negotiables of which are vices, smoking, drinking, and any other personal goals that you want to put on here. So the point of this is to continue to keep ourselves accountable, also having a group and a community of like-minded individuals who are also here. So if this is something that you all want to be a part of, I think it will definitely help. I literally have a whole classroom breaking down everything, the blueprints, what to do, how it works, and we're literally just lock in, and this is the actual system that's gonna take us into accomplishing, executing. Because once you have those solidified habits, those daily habits that we do every day, now it just makes everything so easier along our way. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll put that in the chat too. Cool. I thought I was showing y'all this whole time. I'm thinking I'm sharing my screen. All right, it's cool. It's cool. So yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. I'd like to end the call with any wins. Was there any wins this week? Any challenges? Any things that we wanna reflect on, or anything that we want to hold ourselves or ask us to hold you accountable for um moving forward. Yeah, does anybody want to speak on something like that? Nobody had no wins this week. This week was bad. This is
I did really well with making sure that I exercised every day.
nice.
Um, yes, I did really well with that this week.
Beautiful.
Um, yeah, I ate healthy and things like that, but I do need to be more creative. So I think I could be held accountable in that regard.
Okay. And we're gonna check in. We're all gonna check in. Brielle, we're gonna hold her accountable. Next call, we're gonna see if she really if she started creating, at least started the process. And that's really all that counts. It don't gotta be perfect. It don't gotta be what you think you want it to be. But the fact that if you press the button, that's farther than you were before. That's all that matters.
Brielle, where can I see your art?
Do you have Instagram?
Yes.
Okay, so my art page is Blanco Creations. And then I have a website that is Brie Blanco. It's BRIE BLANCO, and that's my website.com.
Okay.
Is that Blanco Creations?
Yeah, that's the Instagram. And then Brie Blanco is the website.
BRIE Blanco?
Yes. Yep. But this was a rough week for me, honestly. It was just like I felt like I was getting steps forward and then I end up taking a million steps back this week. But by the end of this week, I started kind of pulling myself together. So in that regard, I guess that's a win.
Yeah. I mean, you ended the week strong. I mean, you here.
Yeah.
Like that's you here. Like you could have whatever you're going through, you ended the week like with something positive. And this is one of the reasons I set these for Sunday night is because let's sometimes these people consider this end of the week or starting the week, whatever you consider, you started or ended off strong. And that's what's important. I'm proud of you. Perfect. All right. Let's see. Do I have anything to share? Any wins? Any challenges? Um, I just feel I just feel I feel blessed and I try to just stay positive because like Brielle, you said that sometimes things we want things to go a certain way, but they go a complete opposite way. And it's really all about perspective. So one of my challenges in the past actually has been like trying to change my perspective of how a situation affects me. And this week has kind of been like that. It's been a combination of there's been a lot of great things or great potential things that happen, but it wasn't everything that I wanted, but I'm grateful for it. You know what I mean? Um, at the end of the day, yeah, we all go through those challenges, that eternal challenges, self-doubt, all these things that make us human. But as long as we continue to show up for ourselves, we continue to make progress, we continue to understand that we are human and we're not going to be perfect, but we continue to move forward and show up and become disciples of ourselves first, then the world is going to be our oyster. You know, that's all I'm going to say. So that's what I'm going to leave the call off with. Thank y'all for joining me. It was a pleasure. Hope to see y'all at the workshop next week. I'm expecting a pretty good turnout, and I think it's going to be a lot of things that will help anyone who shows up because these are things that help me personally change my whole life around. And I'm going to tell about my story. I'm going to talk a little bit more personal and give as much value that I can on that call tomorrow. Been putting together for quite a long time. So, all right. Thank you. Thank y'all, ladies. It's been real, and I'm going to see y'all next week.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
No
you.
problem. No problem. Bye. Enjoy your week.